Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Epica, the Alchemy project, on November 11th on Atomic Fire Records. This EP has 7 tracks, 36 minutes in length, and this is the band's 10th EP. They are a symphonic metal band from the Netherlands, and this release is part of their celebration of their 20-year anniversary. And what better way to do it? But with a project that includes 13 bands/musicians, and they created 7 very unique songs. Some of them I don't think you would ever expect Epica to do. Now I'm going to go through these 7 songs by the order on the track list, starting off with The Great Tribulation featuring Fleshgod Apocalypse. This is the best opening song possible. It's the one that has a blend of both bands' DNA in it, and it's a seamless blend. You see the heaviness of both bands represented, you see the symphonic elements of both bands represented, and then you have a track that could easily be released by either or. It has great uniqueness to it because they were able to fuse these two bands into one single song and allow the track to work. And I like this as an opening song because it has a lot of Epica in it. And considering some of the songs that come after, this is a much easier way to get the experience of the listener started. It takes you steps into the album, it takes you steps into this record, allowing you to see the differences that are going to come down the line, but starting off with a song that's perhaps a little bit closer to home. I really enjoyed the dynamic. The vocal performance is incredible, but the sound experience, that heaviness, those symphonic elements, those larger than life epic elements that both bands have are definitely well represented across the entire song. Next you have Wake the World featuring Lanzon of Uriah, Heep, and Tommy of Camelot. Now when you break this song down, this song comes down to a hard rock song that obviously has some heavier moments, specifically in the pre-chorus, but it's also a song that lives off of the keyboard sound from beginning to end. Not that it's always in the forefront because it comes in waves, but the keyboard sound is the spinal cord of the entire track. This track is built from the keyboards onwards, and then obviously you add a keyboard solo to really represent that definition of where this song originated, on how this song was created, to see the incredible fluidity that the track has and how the keyboards create that fluidity from start to finish becomes the overall design of a song that may sound simple but has a lot of texture to it. Now I also enjoyed obviously the vocal performance on this track, but I felt like the sound experience that this track offers is perfectly for Tommy's tone and vocal performance. When you think of Camelot, when you think a lot of their tracks, they're very keyboard driven, very keyboard dependent, and this song having that backdrop to it, maybe dropping a little bit of the heaviness into that hard rock arena, really allows his voice to shine and come into the forefront and take a little bit of a center stage when he's there and when he's controlling the overall experience that the track offers. So magnificent song through and through. Next we have the Final Lullaby featuring The Shining, a very Epica style track. I think this is perhaps the song that's most controlled and most defined in terms of how you would define an Epica song. It didn't go too far off the beaten path. It has interesting elements in it. The duet throughout the entire song is really interesting. It adds a different dynamic. It definitely adds more movement. This is a song that has great tempo, allowing the vocals to shine through and through. But musically, from a pure musical construction, this song felt a little bit more familiar to me than some of the tracks that come after, like Sirens of Blood and Water featuring Charlotte Wessels and Myrkur. This is my favorite song on the album. This is a symphonic ballad. That's how it comes across, that's how it feels, that's how it sounds. It is vocally driven from beginning all the way to the end. The verses are a little bit more stripped down, allowing the vocals to shine through, to come through, using different layers in order to create a little bit more volume, in order to create a little bit more substance and texture, making them more impactful without necessarily having to throw choirs into the mix. And then you have the chorus that becomes a little bit more becomes a little bit bigger, it becomes a little bit larger. It has a little bit more of substance to it, not necessarily in the vocal performance, but rather in the sound that it carries. But this is a vocally driven track, allows you to feel the emotion of the lyrical content, the emotion of the song. The vocal performance is through the roof, and because of the mood that it creates and the overall design that it offers, that's why I'm calling this the ballad of this record. Next we have Death Is Not the End featuring Frank of MaYaN and Björn Strid of Soilwork. This is a very heavy song, perhaps the second heaviest song on the album. I mean, you can make an argument for the Great Tribulation, but I honestly felt like this was a heavier song than the Great Tribulation. It's very driven, it has great sound experience, it has a heavy sound experience from beginning all the way to the end. It really lives off of that heaviness, and then when you have a vocalist like Björn Strid on a track, you know you can go into different places because of his range, because of his tone, working really well more on the melodic side, but also working really well with the heavier side. And this song really allows that momentum or that shift, that paradigm to exist extremely well throughout the entire song. I enjoyed the heaviness of the track, I enjoyed the consistency of the heaviness, and it's a song that not just works as itself, but it works really well in setting up the heaviest track on this record, Human Devastation, featuring Henri of God Dethroned and Sven of Aborted. Based on those two names alone, you should expect a brutal track, and that's exactly what this track is. This is death metal through and through. It's like you're listening to Cannibal Corpse on an Epica record. They have never released a song as heavy as this one. There's no way in hell there is a track out there that Epica has released that even comes close to the brutality, to the sound, to the heaviness, to the demolishing nature and aggression and intensity that this track puts forward. It's an incredible song from that perspective, completely out of character as far as Epica is concerned, but totally in line with who they invited to be on it. Last but definitely not least, the minor, featuring Asim Searah of Damnation Plan, Niilo of Insomnium, and Roel van Hendel of Powerwolf. I felt like this might not be my favorite song because Sirens is definitely my favorite track, but it's my second favorite song on the album. It felt to me that this was perhaps the most texturized song, the most complex song, the song that had more moving pieces, more elements, more intricate, the more cinematic song, not necessarily from a soundscape point of view, but definitely from how it comes across in the atmosphere and the mood that it creates. The vocal performance on this track really helps cement that cinematic vibe that the track has. I thought Asim was phenomenal. A lot of people may not know him for his vocal performance, but he absolutely delivers on this track. He has a great tonality. He brings something extra to the table that works really well with the folks around him, and it works really well with Simone. The two work extremely, almost in a perfect parallel when they're working one off of the other as the song progresses. The overall design of the track really enhances that cinematic vibe that the song has. It's a song that has the Epica design in it in terms of making that larger than life feeling song, bringing that cinematic approach into the way they construct tracks. That is definitely there from start to finish, and it's perhaps the song where you detect that the best, what's better defined, better easy to understand from start to finish. The bigger song is the last song, and this is Epica with the Alchemy project of November 11th on Atomic Fire. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on this project, on the songs, on the guest vocalists, on the guest artists. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you guys at the next video.